What's up, Cardfighters? Ryan here from Vanguard Central, bringing you a brand new Sanctuary Guard deck profile with a nice update from the latest release of G-BT08. Stay tuned.
Stand up, Vanguard!
Starting with our grade 3s, we are running 4 copies of Sanctuary Guard Dragon. Sanctuary Guard Dragon is of course the main boss of this deck simply because his on-ride is just so good where you're basically able to grab any grade 1 or less that you do need. So you can go ahead and grab the Mirons, you can go ahead and grab Flogels or Barkles even. You can even call the Brave PG if you're even in that much of a pinch. And then our backup grade 3, we're running Sanctuary Guard Guarantee. I chose just to run the 5th Guarantee because I felt like 4 was a little bit too low. Simply because it's something that is basically an extra stride fodder. If you ride it, it's still okay simply because it's the Sanctuary Guard name. In this kind of format, it doesn't really matter since everything's going to be hitting for pretty hard anyways. So having that the extra 5th Sanctuary Guard really comes in clutch. Moving on to our grade 2s, we are playing 4 copies of Sage of Salvation Benon. Benon is basically the replacement of Sword Me Forever. RIP! Simply because he can basically make your column. You call out the Mirons, which is actually might be better than Sword Me since you do get to +1 back to hand, but it does come at a little bit more of a cost, of course. His 8k doesn't really matter either since you're going to be rushing early game, and most likely they're going to have either a 7k or 9k Vanguard. And then following him, we got 4 copies of Boku no Bunshin, Blaster Blade. Blaster Blade, you probably are never going to use his skill unless you really need to, like if you want to just kill that TikTok worker right away. Even though it doesn't really do much because Gears is just so good. But Blaster Blade, with the Flogo combos, it's just insanely good in this deck. And then after that, we got 4 copies of Favored Pupil of Light and Dark, Lu. I chose to go with 4 Lu in this variant simply because the early game is just too good. If you're able to pull this off early, and especially during your Sanctuary Guard stride turns, it's just insane. You get at least 4 to 5, even maybe 6 if you can get the Flogo combo off properly. Very, very powerful attacks, and if your opponent's at 5, maybe 5 cards in hand, you basically got the game. And then following that, we got 2 copies of Knight of Twin Sword. What I felt like really iffy about this lineup was maybe dropping either a Benon or the Lu, and adding another Twin Sword. But the only problem with that was that I just wanted to max out the probability of getting the 4 of these guys as much as possible. You don't want to drop Blaster Blade because the combo with that is just too good. I didn't want to drop the Benon because I wanted to see it as early as I can, so dropping to 3 isn't going to help me get there. And then also the Lu, dropping that, I didn't want to do that either because not being able to search him as well as you can with grade 1s since of Sanctuary Guard, it's easier to just have him in hand, if you get what I'm saying, because you can go ahead and search his booster out for free with Sanctuary Guard, so it's a lot easier to do it that way. And then having 2 Twin Swords great just because you can go into Milius, and as long as you have this Twin Sword and maybe one of full back row and 1 booster for Lu, you're going to have some pretty insane combo turns with 3 counterblasts. Moving on with our grade 1s, we are playing 3 copies of Holy Knight Guardian. This is the unflipping perfect guard because unflips are going to come in clutch a lot for you, and the reason why I'm only running 3 is because I am taking that 1 copy of Hopekeeper. I thought Hopekeeper was a very silly card, but it wasn't until I started playtesting with it where it actually became so good. There has been so many matches where this came in the clutch for really saved me the game, just because its Brave ability, it's an on-place Brave ability, if that makes sense. So you don't have to have 3 cards at the end of turn, you just have to have 3 cards or less when it's placed. So you can go ahead and do your aggressive triple drives with your Sanctuary Regalia turn as long as it's on the board. And it's really nice because it does get that +2k, makes it an 8k. So you do get some nice numbers if you put it behind a 9k and it's a full back row. That's 9 plus 8, 17 plus 9,000 to Sanctuary Guards. That's 26 lane. That's really strong numbers just because of Hopekeeper. And it's good because if you just want the number, you can still use it. Even behind Benon, it's still really good early game. Actually, it's GB1, so it doesn't work. But basically, it's another target for Benon, which really came in the clutch. And next, we got 4 copies of Laurel Knight Sigilis. Simply because it's a stride-based deck, you want to be striding as much as possible. Soon, they will be all full art. And then 4 copies of Miron. I've seen a lot of people that play 5 copies, or maybe like 2 more Richards, basically. I feel like it's just way too much. Because there's better cards that you can play over that, and I don't really think that you'd be wanting to burn all your CBs through Ben on that turn because you can be going for multi-attack plays with Twin Sword and Lu. So that's why I'm choosing, instead of the other like 5-6 copies of Miron, I'm going with 2 more Barkle. Just because it's a nice early booster for Lu, and it still makes some really nice plays. Swinging 19 early game, or just having the extra 28k lane on a Sanctuary Guard stride. It's just so good. And moving on to our triggers, we're playing one of the most aggressive decks in the game, so you want to be playing 8 crits. There's no question. Draws are good also in this deck since it is kind of combo oriented. But the whole point of this deck is that even if you have to run with triggers and drop like a poop column, Sanctuary Guard fixes that for you. Because even if you have a full field of grade 1s, you're giving plus 15,000 to the front row. It's insane. And then if you add that on top of all your crits you're running in the deck, your opponent might just get punched in the face and not even expect it. Like, sometimes you think you're going to lose and you win. 4 of them, of course, being Belinus, because it's free soul and extra draws if you are on the Ultimal stride. And then 4 of the Beast Flogel. It's insane what this card can do. It can provide so much multi-attacks for the Blaster Blades. It's really strong on the Sanctuary turns and also your Ultimal turns. It's basically one of the best finishers in this deck. And then lastly, we got 4 heals. I'm going with the Seeker Loving Healer because I like the art. You can bash on it, but whatever. Elaine's cool too, but I just like this one better. And our starter is, of course, Milius. He's going to go ahead and grab us that grade 2. I've tried other starters. I just felt like this was best. I know that there was the other variant that had like Wingle Brave in it. The deck had to change a lot because you needed more blasters in order to get Wingle Brave off. It was still really good. But Milius is just all around better because if you're really that much in a pinch with 4 CB, you can make like pretty epic plays. Moving on to our G zone, we are playing 3 copies of Holy Dragon Sanctuary Guard Regalier. This is just basically a card that should be restricted to 1 or 2. It's just so strong. It's really stupid. Essentially just getting super power lanes for pretty much no cost is just ridiculous. It makes your multi-attack plays so strong because it's a continuous skill. So no matter what you'll be calling during the battle phase, it's still going to be getting that plus 3k. This is basically the stride that you want to be going into almost all the time if you have this set up right. And then after that, we got 4 copies of Aerial Divine Knight Ultimile. Ultimile is just... it's so good because it's so free. You get to call whatever grade 2 you need as long as that GB2 is active for him. Ideally, the play you want to do is the Blaster Blade Flogel play if you do have Flogels in there. What I like to do, if you know your deck is low, full of triggers, you just call out all your Flogels, you grab the Blaster Blade with Ultimile, and you swing with the whatever 32,000 Blaster Blade as long as you pass all the triggers to it. Though that's imagining if you pass 3 triggers, which is just godlike. And then after following that, we got 4 copies of Holy Dragon Saint Blow Dragon. I see a lot of people running this only at 2 or not running it at all, which is weird because your control matchups, this guy is going to carry the team. Link Joker, for example, is one that's just, you want to be able to swing with something with some kind of pressure because you can't be going to Sanctuary Guard Regaliers with 1 rear guard on board. It's not going to work like that. Saint Blow, at least if you have 2 rear guards, you're going to get at least some kind of pressuring stride attack, so you do get that 1 crit. So that does help a ton. I don't know why people run Sea Breeze. This is like not even a Generation Break deck really. If you need to Sea Breeze, you just go early game rushing. Your Limit Break plays with Sanctuary Guard are probably going to do the work for you. Your CBs are just way too important and to waste on like a counterblast to Stride Vanilla. It doesn't really make sense, at least to me. And next, I'm running 1 copy of the new Blazing Sword Fights. I actually really like this card. I used to run Gabblade instead, but essentially he is the replacement, only because, he doesn't have to hit. It replaces whatever card you have in your hand, simply to get another grade 2. If the grade 2 is Brave ability, you get to draw another card. But ideally, if you really need to go into fights, most likely you're having, you're opening like poop. You don't have a board or whatever. So this lets you call out, your Twin Sword. This lets you call out your Benon into a full column, so you can plus off that. It's just really good where you can set up a board with, no cost, and it's not like on attack either, so it doesn't mess with, I don't know if they're gonna sweep your back row already with the Defeat Flare that early. But this is, I feel like, a really good tech card instead of the Gabblade, since it doesn't have to hit. And then moving on to G-Guards, I'm running 2 copies of Laser Guard Dragon. Laser Guard is great. It's just a free 21 shield, or 21 shield, I'm sorry. 21 shield if you're able to get that grade 2 on the board. And what's nice is that it's a plus 5k that is like on place. So as long as you have the grade 2, you get the 5k, and then after that, if you don't have enough shield, you can just intercept with the 5k you just did. So you're not going to lose that extra 5k shield. And then I got 1 copy of Metal Element Screw for the control matchups and, you know, guard restrict decks like DP. And then the 1 copy of Dismal. This is really going to protect our Twin Swords and lose. Those are basically our most important grade 2s. What I felt like changing maybe was dropping either the Laser Guard just for flipping it for another Dismal. I haven't tested enough, you know, to know which one is really better. I feel like double Dismal would be good, but 2 Laser Guards is just really free also for those easy 21s. Thanks for watching, guys. That was our Sanctuary Guard deck profile. Let me know what you guys think of it down below. There hasn't been a lot of changes because the new set didn't give a lot of support for the Sanct Guard. I think really the best card that was improved was changing the ability to change out Gabblade into Fides. I think that Fides is a great utility stride, and I think it's even better in a Brave deck, which is kind of sad because Brave is totally poop. But still, nice utility stride to add into an already powerful deck. So like I always say, if you guys have any questions, leave a comment down below, like our videos, and subscribe for more content. Vanguard Central, out.